measurement, presentation, disclosure. But here, LKS 32 cover presentation of financial instruments. SLFRS 7 cover disclosures of financial instruments. The rest, mainly recognition, measurement, definition, those are covered by SLFRS 9. So 3 standards there cover financial instruments. So you can get the idea that how complex this area financial instruments, right? So actually, we can't cover the whole financial instrument A to Z within the given time duration, right? But we will cover the core aspects of financial instruments. Lecture sessions පහක් විතර ඕන මේ standards ටික cover. We don't have that much of time, right? We are going to cover A to Z, all these standard 5 to 6 lectures, right? We need to cover all these standards. But what we will do, we will take this topic, the accounting for financial instruments. So we are going to cover the core areas of this standard, right? So you will get the core knowledge required for an accounting graduate in relation to financial instrument. So financial instrument is defined. It's a contract. Financial instrument itself is a contract that creates financial asset to one party, financial liability or equity instrument to another party. That's the difference. The financial instrument is a contract. Under this contract, create financial asset for one part. Financial asset. Financial liability or equity instrument to other part. To understand this, if you take when a company issue ordinary shares. Ordinary share is a financial instrument. Investor, its investment in ordinary shares, financial asset. Company, the issuer of the ordinary shares. Ordinary share is equity. Right? So, ordinary share is example for financial asset. For the issuer, it is equity instrument. Holder of the instrument, investor, it's a financial asset, investment in ordinary share. Yes. If you take company issue debentures, debenture is a financial instrument. It's a company. Right? When company issue debenture, investors, different investors invest in that document. So issuer's point of view, that's a financial liability. You have obligation to settle. When you issue debenture, you have to settle it after 5 years, 10 years. Whenever the debenture matures, you have to settle. Right? So investor, investment in debenture, financial asset. So you can see ordinary shares, preference shares, debentures, corporate bonds. These are financial instruments. Now, ordinary share is an equity instrument for the issuer. Preference shares. Preference shares is an equity instrument or financial liability. Issue करने company रखते हैं the ordinary share can equity नहीं. Preference shares is the liability. Preference shares can be equity, can be liability based on the preference, right? Based on conditions in the preference. You may have heard redeemable preference shares. Redeemable preference shares. That means when the preference shares are issued, there is a condition that these shares will be redeemed by the company after some years. And we preference shares issue කරනවා අවුරුදු 10කට පස්සේ redeem කරනවා සල්ලි අමෝගෙ. So if we are issuing redeemable preference shares, that means company has obligation to repay. Right? So when you have obligation to repay, is it liability or equity? Liability. So redeemable preference shares become financial liability to the issuer. But sometimes preference shares can be issued non-redeemable. That means it's not going to repay until the liquidation of the company. So from that perspective, it is same as ordinary share. Only thing, these shareholders will pay their capital at the liquidation prior to the ordinary share. Right? Then you can classify it as equity. Equity වගේ තමයි. මොකද ආපහු හම්බෙන්නේ නැහැ. කම්පැනි එක ලික්විඩේට් කරන දවස එනකම් ඒගොල්ලන් කම්පැනි ආපහු ගෙවන්නේ නැහැ shareholders. So preference shares can be financial liability or equity instrument for the issue. Debenture, another name corporate bond, financial liability. Loan. Now, when a bank grants a loan, from the bank point of view, is it financial asset, financial liability, equity? Bank loan එකක් දුන්නාම bank පැත්තෙන් it is asset, right? Loan receivable. So it's a financial asset to the bank. Customer, the loan means your borrowings, liability. Right? So that loan itself is a contract which creates financial asset for the bank, financial liability for the borrower. It's a financial issue. Commercial papers, you know, that short-term loans, like when a company wants long-term loan, they can issue debenture. Company issues commercial paper to get short-term borrowing, right? So for the issuer, it's a financial liability. Government can issue treasury bill, you know, right? Treasury bill, the issuer, government, financial liability, investor, financial asset. Any of these financial instruments, investors' point of view, financial asset. Fixed deposit. You deposit 1 million in the bank, fixed deposit. When a company have a fixed deposit, company point of view, that is an asset, financial asset. Bank's point of view, that's a financial liability. Bank has obligation to repay. So these are the basic level of financial instrument. So at the moment, I am focusing on these basic type of financial instrument covered in example 1 to 7. Right? But you know, primary financial instrument. Take it our advanced aspect, you know, derivatives and compound financial statement. We'll cover that end of the session. Right? It's about examples. So you can easily understand these shares, debentures, financial asset and financial. Now you take ordinary shares. Issuer's point of view, equity instrument. Investor's point of view, financial asset. How to account for ordinary shares, issuer's point of view, nothing new to learn. You all know that is recorded as share. Company එක පැත්තෙන් ordinary shares වල account කරන එක ඔයාලා දන්නවා. Right? So that is from the company point of view. Like it's been recorded, right? So, but from the investor's point of view, how we are going to account for financial asset? We will discuss. Right? Investor's point of view, there are different classification we can use when you invest in ordinary shares. Right? Broadly, actually, to take investment in ordinary share, this is something additional. Right? Investment in ordinary shares. If you invest 75% of ordinary shares of another company, 80% of ordinary shares of another company, 100% of ordinary shares of another company, 60% of ordinary shares of another company. Then we name that investment as what? We will discuss in our future topic, but I hope you all are aware of that. When one company acquires majority of shares of another company, that investment is named as investment in number here. Investment in, yes, subsidiary, right? The investment in ordinary shares, investment in subsidiary venerable. Is covered by SLFRS, PM, SLFRS, okay. Right. Then the company can invest ordinary shares of another company, not the majority, but large percentage like 30%, 40%, 25%. Then we name that another investment in associate. Okay. Investment in associate. Covered by case 28, investment in associate. Right. That also ordinary share investment, equity investment. And two companies can invest in another entity and obtain the joint control. That is possible. A invest 40%, B invest 30%, together they have 70%. So A and B together control C. We name them investment in joint venture. Covered by SLFRS 11. Right? Investment in joint venture. All these three will be covered in this course. Right? So we had the, when we go through the course outline, so that subsidiary, associate, joint venture, right? The group financial statement will be tested. Then most of the cases we can invest in ordinary shares of another company, not a large percentage. The listed company shares, you can invest 1,000 shares, 10,000 shares, 5,000 shares. Your ownership as a percentage may be even 1% or less than 1%, 5%, 3%, like that. That is named as financial asset. Based on the purpose, if you invest in ordinary shares of another company and you just keep it for trading, right? Usually when we buy shares from share market, you buy at a particular price, you buy a share for 200, we keep it, when the share price goes up, we are going to sell it. Trading purpose. Then we name them as financial asset at fair value through profit or loss. Financial asset at fair value through profit or loss. Similarly, you can invest in shares of another company through stock exchange, but you are not keeping it for trading. You want to be a long-term investor. Sometimes you may have an intention to get the more ownership in later, right? අනාගතේ acquire කරන්න හිතාගෙන දැන් 105 කරගෙන තියාගෙන ඉන්නවා වෙන්නේ. Now we have 5% investment, not even associate, right? But your intention to someday get the control. So you are not keeping it for trading purpose. Then we classify them financial asset at fair value through other comprehensive income. So these two covered by SLFRS 9 LK is 32. The SLFR 7 provides the disclosure related to this, so but we are not going to discuss that, right? That is just the disclosure is, right? So in this topic, we are covering the two types of financial assets coming from investment in ordinary shares. When you invest in ordinary shares of another company, it can be classified either financial asset at fair value through profit or loss, or financial asset at fair value through other comprehensive income, right? Right. Then we are going to look at what is meant by financial asset. Right. So financial assets. So the financial asset is any asset that is cash. By definition, cash is a financial asset. Cash is a financial asset. Now tell me, is cash come under the definition of financial instrument? Cash is a financial asset. Is cash meet the financial instrument definition? Yes, sir. Now in accounting cash definition, what are the things included in the cash? Accounting වල cash definition එක ඇතුලේ මොනවද තියෙන්නේ? cash කිව්වහම cash වර්ග දෙකක්. දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ cash flow statement එක කතා කරද්දී cash and cash equivalent කතා කරනවා. cash equivalent අයින් කරන්න. cash what is including the cash? Okay, cash consists of two things. මොනවද? cash කිව්වහම ඒකේ අපි ජාති දෙකක් තියෙනවා. cash in hand, cash at bank. Cash at bank is current account. When you take current account balance, if you include within the cash definition, it's a financial instrument. Why? When you have deposit money in the bank current account, it's a financial asset for the business. Financial liability for the bank. Cash in hand. Cash in hand doesn't meet the financial instrument definition. But it's asset for the holder, but there is no liability for someone. right? The matter cash हम पूरा मांगला करके cash वाले दावा के liability करने cash is only financial. The cash in hand, right? That's a very interesting दावा you know सामान्य financial asset ඔක්කොම ගත්තාම financial instrument කියන definition එකට වැටෙනවා. Because it's a financial asset for one party, financial liability or equity instruments for other party. Except cash in. Cash in hand, only financial asset. There is no corresponding financial liability or equity. Got the point? Right? අපි මොනවා හරි sell එකක් sales කරලා cash ගත්තොත් මේ cash එක අපේ asset. ඒක corresponding liability එක තමයි කාටද? ඒ bank එකේ value that what? ඒක financial asset එකක් මත bank වල financial liability. Right. Then what are the other things included in the financial asset? So the cash කියන එක ලොකු කතාවක් නෑ අපිට ඒක accounting විශේෂයෙන් කතා කරන්න දෙයක් නෑ. Right? You know how to account for cash in hand and even cash in bank. Equity instrument of another entity. So what that means? Investment in foreign share. Right? Financial, that is an asset. That is equity instrument of another entity. Not asset එක තව immediate equity instrument. That means when you invest in ordinary shares of another company, that is a financial asset. So we will discuss how to account for the investment in ordinary shares that is covered under financial asset. මෙන්න මේ classification දෙක යටතේ අපි ලෝක කතා කරනවා. Equity instrument of another entity. Contractual right to receive cash. It's a financial asset. Contractual right to receive cash. Give me example. I have a contractual right to receive cash, so it's a financial asset. So then what is the asset? Contractual right to receive cash. මට අයිතියක් තියෙනවා තව කෙනෙක්ගේ cash ගන්න. Example. Trade receivable meets that definition. Right? Trade receivable is a financial asset. We have contractual right to receive cash. හරිනේ අපි ණයට වන්දන කරනවා අපිට අයිතියක් තියෙනවා cash ලැබෙන්න. එතනින් So any kind of receivable, okay, right? Trade receivable, related party receivable, whatever. Other than that, any type of investment. Yes, when you have investment in a fixed deposit, contractual right to receive cash from the bank. Not only that, you invest in debenture of another company. Then you have when you invest in debentures, right? It's going to mature in 5 years. So you have a contractual right to receive that money in 5 years. Contractual right to receive cash. Right? So trade receivables, loan receivables, investment in debentures, investment in treasury bills, investment in fixed deposit, all that examples that we discussed under financial instrument, those from the investor's point of view, contractual right to receive cash. Right? Contractual right to receive. The primary financial instrument is financial asset for cash. Equity instrument of another entity, there is investment in ordinary shares. Contractual right to receive, right? Contractual right to receive cash. So I will stop it. With the contractual right to receive cash, right? Equity instrument of another entity. Now those two we are going to cover originally. The remaining part actually covered in the derivative and compound financial instrument. So I will take that part in the definition also when we move to that categories, right? මුලදී අපි බලන්නේ primary instrument, financial instrument, basic instrument. Those are asset point of view either equity instrument of another entity. That means investment in ordinary shares. Or contractual right to receive cash like investment in debenture, investment in fixed deposit, investment in treasury bill, likewise. So how do we recognize financial assets? An entity recognized. What is meant by recognize? Recognition. What do we recognize? අපි accounting වල recognize කරන්නේ මොනවද? Recognize කියන වචනයත් එක්ක එනවා තව එකක්. We recognize මොනවද recognize කරන්නේ? Yes. Recognize something in something. මොනවද recognize කරන්නේ? කොහෙද recognize කරන්නේ? Accounting වල financial report. Yes. Any idea? Now, have a standard එකම පාවිච්චි කරනවා recognize කියන වචනේ. Right? Recognition criteria, right? Measurement at recognition, measurement after recognition. So, what is actually mean by recognition? Recognition කියන්නේ මොකක්ද? සිග්නල් එක කියන හඳුනා ගැනීම. මේ හඳුනා ගැනීම කිව්වට ඒකේ meaning එක එන්නේ නැහැ. Specific meaning there for the recognition. Yes. What do we recognize? We recognize financial statement elements. What are the elements? Financial statement elements. Yes. Financial statement. Assets, liability, equity, income, expenses. Right? So we recognize finance with these elements. Where? What is recognized? Element recognize කරන්න කොහෙද? The financial statement. Right? Financial statement. Financial statement, how many components? Financial statement basically 5 components. The word recognition is applicable for all 5 components or some specific. Where do we recognize asset, liability, equity, income, expenses? We recognize them in statement of profit or loss and statement of financial. Right? We have 3 other statements. We don't use the word recognition there. Right? Statement of changes in equity, we don't recognize. Statement of cash flows, we don't recognize. There we just present type. Right? That's applicable for the presentation. Presentation. How do we present equity movement? How do we present cash flow? Not sir. Not to disclose them. Right? Accounting standard provide guidelines on recognition, measurement, presentation, disclosure. ඔය හතරනේ ස්ටෑන්ඩ්ස්ලි ගයිඩ් කරා. ඒක recognition කියන එක අදාළ වෙන්නේ asset, liability, equity, income, expenses. We recognize them in the phase of statement of profit or loss and OCI or statement of financial position. මේවා තමයි සාමාන්‍ය accounting undergraduate ලවුනහම specifically දැනගන්න ඕන දේවල් accounting වල 4 aspects, right? So entity recognize financial asset in this statement of financial position. Financial asset එක නම් අඳගන්න වෙන්නේ statement of financial position. Asset, liability, equity recognize in the statement of financial position. When and only when entity become party to the contractual provision of the instrument. Or financial instrument එක කියන්නේ contract එකක්. You have learned the simple contract law. Contract එකක් එන්නම් complete. 2 conditions contract law වල කියලා. One party, from the one party to receive, but contract law. So how hari kotana hari kira-kira dia no contract. Yes. offer and contract and completed number in accept. Offer and acceptance in the financial instrument එකක් කියන්නේ offer and acceptance වෙනවා. When a company issues shares, they invite investors to invest. ඒක offer එක නෙමෙයි. offer එක එන්නේ ඒකට කියනවා invitation to offer. පැටලුව මත ගන්න. offer එක කලින් කියනවා invitation. Then applicant send application. Right? We want to invest. Like I want 1000 shares කියලා මම application එකත් එක්ක සල්ලි යවනවා. That is the offer. Then company issue share allotment. That is the accept. At that point contract complete. Right? Contract complete. So you can recognize financial asset when you become party of that instrument contract. හරිනේ? මම investor කෙනෙක් නම් මම shares වලට investment in ordinary share කියන asset එක අඳුර ගන්න වෙන්නේ මට shares allot කරා. මම ඒකේ party of that contractual provision of the instrument. Right? So that's financial asset එක අඳුර ගන්න අනිත් ඕන asset එකක් එහෙමයි. මම ඩිබෙන්චර් වල ඉන්වෙස්ට් කරා නම් මගේ ඉන්වෙස්ට්මන්ට් එක කම්ප්ලීට් වෙන්න ඕන, contract එක කම්ප්ලීට් වෙන්න ඕන to recognize my financial asset. Right? බැංකුවෙන් සල්ලි ඩිපොසිට් කරනවාම බැංකුව අපිට රිසිට් එක දුන්නාම right? They accept our money, then you can recognize your financial asset. Simple thing. Now the measurement, important part. The measurement of financial asset at recognition. Initially, you have to measure financial asset at fair value. ඒක තමයි විශේෂයි. Financial asset recognize කරන්නේ fair value එකට initial. Property, plant and equipment initial recognize at property, plant and equipment recognize again. Then measured at recognition at fair value. No cost. Right? Financial instrument fair value. Right? Fair value. Because the financial instrument normal transaction occurred at the fair value. Fair value එකට තමයි market price එකට තමයි transaction එක වෙන්නේ. Right? So you can recognize at the fair value. Then the transaction cost. When you enter in, so if you take, you invest in ordinary shares of another company, right? So you buy some shares from a listed company from the Colombo Stock Exchange. So if you want to invest in shares, can you directly buy shares from Colombo Stock Exchange? අපිට පුළුවන් දෙලින්ම මට ගිහිල්ලා shares ගන්න. එහෙනම් කොහොමද ගන්න to share broker. So they charge the commission fee. That is the transaction. මම shares වල 1 million invest කරනවා නම් මට transaction fee එකක් ගෙවන්න වෙනවා. Transaction cost. Right? මම 50,000 ගෙවුවා කියන්නේ. So what is the treatment for transaction cost? The transaction cost is added to initial measurement. Transaction cost එක add කරන්න ඕනේ financial asset. Except for the financial asset fair value through profit or loss. When a main category එකට කියනවා financial asset fair value through profit or loss category එකට කියනවා. ඒ වෙලාවට transaction cost එක add කරන්න ඕනේ. So except that classification of financial asset, transaction cost is added to cost the fair value, right? Financial asset එකට add කරන්න වෙනවා. So based on the subsequent measurement, we can identify financial asset under 3 categories. Financial asset at fair value through profit or loss, financial asset at fair value through other comprehensive income. These two applicable for ordinary share investment. And if you take investment in debentures like debt instrument, in addition to these two, you can have the financial asset at amortized cost. තවත් ලාභයක් තියෙනවා. Right? අපි අද මේ investment වල තුනම කතා කරනවා. So there can be three types of financial assets: fair value through P&L, fair value through OCI, or financial asset at amortized cost. Right? First two applicable only for equity. Equity instruments. Investment in equity instrument applicable can be classified one of these two. Equity instrument වල investment එක වැටෙන්න පුළුවන් either financial asset fair value through P&L, fair value through OC. Debt instrument වල මේ තුනටම යනවා. Debt instrument වල හුඟක් වෙලාවට වැටෙන්නේ amortized cost එකට. එහෙම නැත්නම් fair value through P&L. Very rarely it can be even fair value through OC. Right. So then we are going to discuss how to account for these different classification. So first we will take investment in ordinary shares that can be classified either as financial asset fair value through P&L or financial asset fair value through OCL. So we'll take first activity. Platinum PLC invested in 10,000 ordinary shares of Gold PLC on 1st October 2024 at rupees 200 per share. shares invested. Platinum PLC incurred transaction cost of rupees 50,000 in relation to this transaction. Company held these shares for trading purpose. Trading purpose නම් තියෙන්නේ විකුණන්න නම් තියෙන්නේ financial when you invest in ordinary shares and hold them for trading purpose. We should classify it as financial asset at fair value through P&L. විකුණන්නද තියෙන්නේ. Right? Fair value through P&L කියන එකේ අදහස තමයි මේක දිගටම fair value එකට measure කරගෙන යනවා. Fair value එකට measure කරද්දී year to year, right? You may get trading gains, gains and losses changing the fair value. Through P&L means that gains and losses recognizing P&L. Because you help them for trading purpose. විකුණන්න තමයි තියෙන්නේ. ආවම විකුණලා නැති වුණත් fair value එක වැටෙලා gain එකක් ආවොත් අපි ඔක P&L ගන්නවා. Fair value එක අඩු වෙලා loss එකක් ආවොත් අපි P&L ගන්නවා. Right? That is the question. So make heading එකම තියෙනවා this is financial asset fair value through P&L කියලා. That is make it easier. But examination context you don't have that classification. So when you read that to determine whether this investment is fair value through P&L or fair value through OC. If it is held for trading, that means it is fair value through P&L financial asset. Fair value through P&L financial asset transaction cost is not added to the financial asset. අපි කලින් slide එකේ දැක්කා. Transaction cost is added to financial asset except for fair value through P&L investment. So here this transaction cost is not added. So we directly charge that as expense. Then end of the year 31st March 2025. Now fair value, the market price increased to 230. Right? So we can prepare the financial asset account. Right. So we can prepare the account financial asset at fair value through PNL, right? The account financial asset at fair value through PNL. So I will share it in cell. So here you see financial asset at fair value through PNL account. This is ordinary shares of gold, right? Gold, well, ordinary shares will invest. That is how we invested the shares of gold. So, which is 10,000 shares at 200 each. So first you can credit cash and debit the financial asset fair value through 10,000 shares, 1 rupees 1,000 malingatha, 10 into 200. Right? So 10,000 shares into rupees 1,010 into 200, 2,000. I'm going to prepare the cash account, right? Credit cash, debit financial asset at fair value through PNL. Financial asset at fair value through PNL. So it is 10,000 shares at 200, 2,000. Then end of the year, the market price of a share, the transaction cost is not added here because it's fair value through PNL financial asset. So end of the year, you can have the balance carried forward 10,000 shares at 230. $10,000 shares at 230. Balance carried forward 2,300. Now when you balance this account, debit side 2,000, balance increase to 2,300. There is 300 difference. This is the gain we charge to PNL. The gain on fair value, you can transfer the difference here. Right? So in the statement of profit or loss for year ending 31st March 2025, gain on fair value change, you can record under other income 300. This transaction cost 50,000 given in the question. The company incurred transaction cost of 50,000. So that you can record under other expenses. And end of the year, you can record this carried forward balance. $2,300, you can show in the current assets. $2,300. Right? So this is straightforward. Right? The statement of profit or loss එක ගත්තොත් other income වල පෙන්නන්න පුළුවන් gain on fair value financial asset at fair value through P&L 300 gain එකක් ගන්නවා. Other expenses වල පෙන්නන්න පුළුවන් transaction cost එක. Then in the statement of financial position, this is held for trading. ඒ කියන්නේ current asset එකක් මේ. දිග කාලයක් තියාගෙන investment එකක් නෙමෙයි. So under the heading financial asset at fair value through P&L, you can show the closing balance 3,200. All this preparing 3,000. So when you invest in ordinary shares of another company, you record it at initial fair value market price in the value asset record වෙනවා. Right? Cash credit 200 rupees into 10,000 shares. Right? 200,000 rupees representing rupees 1,200. 2,000. Sorry, 2 million rupees. Right? 10,000 shares into 200 rupees, 2 million. 2 million is about 2,000 කියලා දාලා දෙන්න 1,000. Then end of the year, market price increased to 230 per share. So now the fair value of those shares become 2,300,000. So there is a 300,000 gain arising from the fair value increase. So we recognize that in profit or loss. We record it under other income. Main income එක sales revenue එක නෙමෙයි මේක other income එක. Gain on fair value change of financial asset. Right? Then main investment එකම if you are given this is held, not held for trading and company keep it for the long period. Normally, when you want to classify it as fair value through OCI, that is a decision made by the company, right? You have to decide. You are not held for trading in number. විකුණන්න නෙමෙයි වෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒ වගේම අපි තීරණය කරන්න ඕනේ අපි මේක long run තියා ගන්නවා. So we classify it as fair value through other comprehensive income. So we have the next activity. Platinum PLC invested 15,000 ordinary shares of Silver PLC. At rupees 100 per share. Incurred transaction cost of 40,000. Company does not hold these shares for trading purpose and decide to recognize any gain or loss from fair value change in OCI. तो පැහැදිලිවම කියනවා fair value change එකේ gain එක OCI වල අඳුන ගන්න තීරණය කරා කියලා. ඒ කියන්නේ the classification should be financial asset at fair value through OCI. Then end of the year market price become 130. Now can you prepare the financial asset at fair value through OCI account? Financial asset at fair value through OCI account. Right. You know that. I make it telling the company does not help for the shares for trading purpose and decide to recognize any gain or loss through other comprehensive income. OCI වලට අඳුන ගන්න තීරණය කරා කියලා කියනවා. ඒක අපිට මේ ඉන්වෙස්ට්මන්ට් එක classify කරන්න පුළුවන්. Financial asset at fair value through OCI. Ordinary shares of silver. Now the investment you made 15,000 shares at 100,000 only that was 15 into 100 1,500. Now it is fair value through OCI classification. The guideline is transaction cost is added to financial assets. Right? Transaction cost is added except for fair value through P&L financial asset. So this is fair value through OCI financial asset. So transaction cost we have to debit to the financial asset. Then transaction cost එක cash credit කරලා මෙතනම debit කරනවා. Right? Transaction cost එක added to the fair value of the financial asset except for the financial asset and fair value through P&L. එනවා standard guideline. එහෙනම් මෙතනින් එනවා ආපහු transaction cost එක පොත්. Then end of the year the market price of a share become 130. So 15,000 into 130 1,950. Right? 100ට ගත්ත එකේ fair value එක 130 වෙලා තියෙනවා දැන්. Right? shares 15,000 share එකක් 100 ගානේ ගත්තා 1,500. දැන් අපිට කියනවා the market price of a share of silver 130. 100 වලට ගත්ත එක 130 වෙලා තියෙනවා 15 into 130 1,950. Now when you balance this still we have a difference. Now this is fair value through OCI. So any gain or loss recognized in other comprehensive income. So we have a difference 410 that should be recognized in other comprehensive income. Right? Make OCI වල අඳුන ගන්න පුළුවන්. So under other comprehensive income, gain on fair value of financial asset 410. Then this balance Now, when the financial assets classified as fair value through OCI, that means it's not held for trading. So it should be a non-current asset, right? Well, current asset classify any fair value through OCI long run investor so that investment should be non-current, right? Financial asset at fair value through OCI should be classified as a non-current asset, right? Then now the financial instrument, financial asset guideline. Here you see the standard guideline, right? Financial assets are initial measured fair value. Fair value is the purchase consideration most of the cases. That's why purchase price we take as the fair value. Transaction cost is added at initial measurement, except for the financial asset at fair value through P. Right? The fair value through P is the pulling method. ඒකෙදි විතරයි add කරන්නේ නැත්තේ. අනිත් හැම වෙලේම add කරන්නේ. Right. When we prepare the statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income, once we take profit for the period, profit for the year, 10,000 and all 3,000. Other comprehensive income will be revaluation surplus, 2,000. Total comprehensive income, 12,000. Then end of the year, after preparing the statement of profit or loss, if you have a profit 10,000, revaluation surplus in other comprehensive income 2,000, then what do we do with this 10,000? Make a maru karna pahada. Make a add karna pahada. Profit for the year, we add to the retained earning. Again, retained earning to add karna. Other comprehensive income without in retained earning or add karna. Then revaluation surplus add karna. Whenever it's over, we call it revaluation reserve. Likewise, when you have other comprehensive income item, that is accumulated in separate reserve, right? So here we have other comprehensive income gain on fair value of financial asset 410. Now this should be accumulated in a separate reserve. That reserve is named as fair value through OCI reserve. Right? A revaluation surplus එක ගෙනිලා revaluation reserve කියලා වෙනම reserve එකකට දානවා වගේ. Financial asset තියෙනවා නම් fair value through OCI classification එක ඇත්තේ. ඒකෙන් අපිට gain එකක් හරි loss එකක් හරි අපිලා other comprehensive income වල දැම්මා. ඒක reserve එකක් විදියට වෙනම equity වල අඳුර ගන්න. Right? That's a separate equity. Recognized as a separate equity item. Financial asset fair value through OCI reserve. Got it? It's same as the revaluation surplus that we present in other comprehensive income accumulated in revaluation reserve. So here we have separate other comprehensive income line item named gain on fair value of financial asset. So we have separate reserve fair value through OCI reserve. Right? Take අඳුන ගන්නවා fair value through OCI reserve. Equity. Any question? Any question? We can't do for the मोठी उद्या पास करणार ते आपल्याला equation. Is actually one and two. Actually one and two le bagar bachhe clear, right? So we can check whether you understood this. Actually one and two. One and two means basically investment in ordinary share. Investment in ordinary shares, you can classify either financial asset at fair value through P&L when the investment held for trading purpose. And if you keep the investment for long run capital appreciation, not held for trading purpose, company can decide to recognize gains and losses in OCI. So then financial asset at fair value through other comprehensive income. The accounting treatment, fair value through P&L initially measured at fair value, subsequent measured at fair value, difference in fair value recognizing P&L. Financial asset at fair value through OCI, initially measured at fair value plus transaction. And end of each year at fair value. The difference, gain always recognizing other comprehensive income. Right. So we can move to the activity 3. There we have two investments. So can you attempt by yourself? $10,000 shares of Sigma, 250 per share. Transaction cost 50,000. So you need to prepare two accounts now. One is financial asset at fair value through P&L, other one financial asset at fair value through OC. Extract හදනකොට දෙකම එකට හදන්න ඉතින් කාර්යනික ඉන්වෙස්ට්මන්ට් දෙයක් මේ ඉන්වෙස්ට්මන්ට් දෙකම කරලා තියෙන්නේ alpha PLC. So දෙකට වෙන වෙනම statement of profit or loss and statement of OPI කියලා දෙකම වෙන්න ගන්න ඕනේ. Within one statement of profit or loss you can show the extract of these two investments. One statement of financial position, now you will have one investment financial asset at fair value through P&L, one asset at fair value through OC. දෙකම because this is investment made by alpha PLC. Take a financial statement එකකින් හදන්න. ඒක මේ දෙකම ගන්න. account P account දෙකක් මොන වෙනවා? fair value through P&L financial asset එක fair value through OCI financial. Okay, shall we see? Right. Our activity 3, we need two accounts, right? Fair value through P&L, that is investment in ordinary shares of Sigma. Fair value through OCI, investment in ordinary shares of Beta. And statement of profit or loss and statement of financial position, we can have the extract later. Now, first we can prepare the account. 10,000 ordinary shares of Sigma at 250 held for trading. So that is share fair value through P&L investment. 250 into 10. 250 into 10, 2,500. And when you take this fair value through P&L, the transaction cost 50,000 should recognize in P&L. So we are not adding the transaction cost here. So we can take the transaction cost 50,000, the statement of profit or loss and other expenses. Then end of the year, the fair value become 280. So the balance carried forward, 280 into 10,000, 2,800. So we have a fair value gain, the difference, 300. You can record this gain under other income. Gain on fair value through P&L, financial asset. Then the second investment, 20,000 shares at 150. 20,000 shares at 150 and market price end of the year 175. Transaction cost 40,000. Alpha held this investment portfolio for long term and compared is that recognize gain or loss on fair value change in OCI. Right? So we can classify it as fair value through OCI, investment in beta. So 20,000 into 150, 3 million. Right? 20,000 into 1, 3 million rupees, 1,000, 3,000. Transaction cost 40,000 we can add. Yes. Then end of the year, price become 175 for 3,500, 3.5 million closing balance. So here we have a gain that we can recognize in other comprehensive income for. So the value through OCI financial asset we can record as non-current asset. Financial asset at fair value through P&L 2,800 you can record as a current asset. This 460 you can accumulate in fair value through OCI reserve. So any question? Just active 1 and 2, right? Both knowledge is activity. The investment in oil which has one help for trading, other one is long run. Help for trading, we have financial asset, help for long run. We have a close here financial asset. But if trading purpose in a financial asset, telling originally family record kara, here it is family record kara, we have such P&L. Family to OCI is around the family P&L other community cover under that's my name. इतना दी transaction cost है क्या? Okay. So you can find the financial statement extracts. The statement of profit or loss and OCI. And other income, gain on fair value of the financial asset, fair value through P&L 300. Other expenses, the transaction cost of the financial asset, fair value through P&L. Then other comprehensive income, you can have this 460, the gain on financial gain on fair value of financial asset, fair value through OCI. So in the statement of financial position, we can have non-current asset, current asset, and equity. Fine. So all three activities we discussed, the fair value, the market price of a share increase 250 to 280, 150 to 175. But that can decrease as well. So instead of gain, it can be fair value loss. If it is a fair value loss, I will make it the 2000 වෙනුවට make a 220 වගේ වුණා කියලා. Then you will have a loss of 300. Then that will be recorded under other expenses, right? Fair value through P&L නම් gain එකක් වෙනකොට fair value loss එකක් ආවා නම් ඒ කියන්නේ P&L. gain එක other income නම් loss එක other expense. ඊළඟට fair value through OCI වලත් එන්න පුළුවන් loss එක. මේක 175 125. Right? So it can be a loss. They loss also recognized in other comprehensive income. When you are showing loss in other comprehensive income, you can show it within brackets, negative. Right? And reserve also negative. Right? Reserve negative when you retain earnings, negative when you accumulate loss of negative when So activity 4, similar activity. Now they have a replace, right? Can you attempt? Break a corner. 15 minutes වලින් පටන් ගමු, right? කාලයක් ගන්න බෑ. සමාන ටොපික් වල නම් එක්සෙල් නෑ console company account වලට ගියාම ගාන හදන්න යනවා. අද උන්න කමෙන්ට් නැහැ. right? We take a short break. ඒක අපි විනාඩි 15කින් පටන් ගමු. Okay, you can attempt activity 4. Activity 4, the only difference, market price, the fair value has reduced now.
Hello, sir. We not hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now? Online students?
Yes, sir. Now we can hear.
Earlier it was not very clear.
Not sound is not available earlier. Mic muted.
So then why didn't you call me until, right? So you should have asked me because I have switch on there, right? Okay. That might have affected to even to the video, right? Recording part. Right. So those who join online, if you have any question, you have to immediately inform, right? I asked you at the beginning whether you are, can you hear me, right? So no response there. Okay. Right. So this is the answer for activity 4, right? So we work out 4 activities. So we know how to account for financial asset, that is investment in ordinary shares can be classified as financial asset fair value through P&L or financial asset fair value through OCI. Right. Then we have third classification, financial asset at amortized cost. That is applicable for debt instrument like debenture. Right? When you invest in ordinary shares, it should be classified either fair value through P&L or fair value through OCI. But when you invest in debentures and you keep that debentures investment also held for trading, then it is same as share investment. You can keep it as fair value through P&L. Right? You can measure at the fair value. But company can invest in debentures of another company, keep till maturity. Right? Held till maturity. Usually when you invest in debenture, you may keep it till maturity because you are getting periodic interest income. That's why you are investing in debentures. So then it can be classified as financial asset at amortized cost. So we will go through the activity 5, financial asset at amortized cost. The Saturn PLC invested 5 million in rupees 1,000 15% debenture. Rupees 1,000 15% debenture. So the rupees 1,000 is the face value of a debenture. 15% is the coupon interest rate, the interest rate at which the investor will receive interest. Right? රුපියල් 1000 එක ඩිබෙන්චර් එකකට 15% interest ගෙවනවා. 1000 වලට 15%, that means 1000 වලට 15%, that means 150 per debenture. So Saturn invested rupees 5 million, right? In 1,000 rupees 1,000 5% debentures, and interest payable 31st March every year. The debentures are redeemed at a premium of 910,000. That means even though Saturn invested 5 million, after 3 years, on 31st March 2025, when these debentures redeem, repay by the issuer, repay 5,910,000. Right? So why actually a debenture issuer repay a premium? 5 million invest කරනවා Saturn මේ debenture වල. ඒතර company ට හම්බෙන්නේ 5 million. Right? එයාලා අවුරුද්දට 115 ගානේ interest ගෙවාගෙන යනවා. ගෙවල එයා කියනවා issue කරද්දිම කියනවා we will redeem at this much of premium. This is applicable when the investors expected rate of return 20%. ඒ කියන්නේ සාමාන්‍ය investor බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා 120ක විතර interest එක. So company annually pay 15% to compensate that. At the time of redemption, you pay a premium. Right? අවුරුද්දට 120 ගෙවනවා වෙනුවට අවුරුද්දට 115 ගෙවලා ප්‍රීපේ කරන දවසට 910,000 වැඩිපුර ගෙවලා තියෙනවා. එතකොට ඒක 20% වලට ටැලි වෙන්න තමයි ගෙවලා. So in this case, effective interest for the investor is 20% when you consider that premium. Even though we are receiving at 15%, effectively our interest income should be taken at effective interest rate 20. Right. The company intend to collect the contractual cash flows consist of repayment of payment of interest and the repayment of capital. Right. Therefore, this is recorded at financial asset at amortized cost. ඒක කියලාම තියෙනවා. Right. එහෙම නැතුව කෙලින්ම කිව්වොත් expected to hold this investment till the maturity. So it's obvious that you are expected to get the annual interest and finally the redemption price. So then it is classified as fair value through financial asset at amortized cost, not fair value. Right. So we will prepare this account. Now we want to prepare this account for 3 years. 2022 first April තමයි investment එක කරන්නේ. The first financial year එක ගන්න පුළුවන් 2022-23. Second one 23-24, third one 24-25. Right? So I'll show you how to prepare this account over the 3-year period. 2022-23. Then 23-24, second. Third year, 24-25. Now, initially, our investment is rupees 5 million. So 5 million, we can credit cash. Debit this financial asset. If there is a transaction cost, what we have to do? Are we adding that into this or charge to PM? Transaction cost එක ගැන අර slide එකේ මොකද කිව්වේ? Financial asset වල මුලම slide එකක් තිබුණේ. Transaction cost added to initial measurement except for the financial asset fair value through P&L. The fair value through P&L වල විතරයි transaction cost එක add කරන්නේ නැත්තේ. That means fair value through OCI and amortized cost, we have to add the transaction cost. Right? Here we don't have a transaction cost. මේ ගානේ දීලා නැහැ transaction cost එකක්. ඒ නිසා add කරන්න දෙයක් නැහැ. Right? Transaction cost එකක් තිබුණා නම් add කරන්න ඕන. Right. Now coupon interest rate is 15%. Effective interest rate is 20%. එතකොට අපි කරන්නේ අපිට දැන් interest එක හම්බ වෙනවනේ. Right? We are receiving interest at 10%, maybe 15%. Right? So make a 15% debenture එක. Right? And interest හම්බෙන්න ඕනේ 15%. So we are receiving interest at 15%. අපිට බලන්න පුළුවන් 5 million into 15%. 750,000 interest. When we receive the interest, normally accounting treatment, you might take cash debit, interest income credit. Here, that is not the treatment. The correct treatment for the interest received on financial asset
Debit cash, credit the financial asset account. Right? This is the way of accounting under amortized cost method. Right? මුදලින් හම්බෙන interest එක investment එකට තමයි credit කරන්නේ. Then you are given the effective interest rate is 20% by considering the premium we are going to receive end of the 3 years. So the interest income is recognized considering that. So you can credit P&L as interest income, which is 5 million into 15%. Sorry, 5 million into 20%. Make a වෙනස්, right? මේ balance එකට 120ක්. 1 million. Right? 1 million. Now, end of the year, the balance carried forward 5,250,000. මේක අර balance වෙනස් වෙන නිසා rupees වලින් හදලා තියෙන 1000 වලින් නෙමෙයි. ගානෙත් 5 million දීලා තිබුණා. So this 5,250,000 is the amortized cost. මේකට තමයි amortized cost කියලා කියන්නේ. මේක cost එකම නෙමෙයිනේ. fair value එකක් නෙමෙයි. Right? So originally fair value එක issue කරපු price investment එක. If there is a transaction cost that is added and increased by interest income, decreased by interest received. So this balance 5,250,000 is the amortized. Now that balance become the opening balance of the second year. Right? The opening balance. Second year also we are going to receive the same interest. Interest විදියට අපිට හම්බ වෙන ගාණ වෙනස් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. We are receiving interest of 750,000. Right? 15% of the face value. And we take the interest income. Interest income එක ගන්න ඕනේ. මේ opening balance එකට තමයි දැන් 120 බලන්නේ. income එක ගන්න අවුරුද්ද මුල balance එකට 120. effective interest rate. So that means 5,250,000 into 20%. So the interest income would be 5,250,000 into 20%, 1,050,000. Second year interest. So now you can find the balance carried forward. It's become 5,550,000. 5,550,000. Now we can move to the year 3. Now the opening balance, brought forward balance from the year 2, 5,550,000. Then the interest income, we are receiving the interest same 750. ඒක වෙනස් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒක 750. Now interest income should be 5,550,000 into 20%. So it is 1,110,000. So the debit side we have 6,660,000. Now end of the year, the final balance is 5,910,000. Now that would be settled. Right, make a carry forward out tonight. So that is the amount received by the investor. So you see that is exactly 5,910,000. That's why question given you. The 5 million investment in debenture will be redeemed at a premium of 910. අපි 5 million invest කරාට අපිට 910 වැඩිපුර හම්බෙලා තියෙනවා. You are having financial management, corporate finance this semester? නෑනේ. This is the first semester, right? Okay. Because in the corporate finance, you will learn how this 15, here you are given the 20%, right? How this 20% calculated, effective interest rate, you will learn in FA, right? So the financial reporting වල අපිට ඒක පොඩි වෙන්න දෙයක් නෑ, ඒක වලට දෙනවා, right? Practically ආයතනෙට ඔක හොයා ගන්න පුළුවන්. Investor විදිහට මම මෙච්චර invest කරා මට මෙච්චරක් අපෝ හම්බෙනවා කියන්නේ 15% ගෙව්වට effective interest rate එක 20 කියන. Right? So you can use some finance formula and calculate. Right. So now you can identify the interest income over the 3-year period. The statement of profit or loss, we can recognize the interest income of each year. And the first year, this 5,250,000 you can record as a non-current asset because 2 more years to redeem. But, so no current asset. But end of the second year, this you know that it is going to redeem in the third year. That means within next year, we are going to collect this amount. So this investment can be recorded as under current asset. Same category, financial asset at amortized cost, but classification is current. By 31st March 2025, it is redeemed. So we don't have any balance, right? We don't have any balance. Right. The amortized cost again වෙන්නේ investment in debenture initially measured at fair value, the market price to invest, plus the transaction cost. This question we don't have transaction cost. If there was a transaction cost, that should be added. Transaction cost එකක් තිබ්බනම් ඒකත් add කරන්න. Then it is increased by interest income at effective rate. Effective rate එක 120. When you are calculating the effective rate, you take the opening balance of that particular year multiplied by the effective. Effective rate එක applicable again opening balance එක තමයි තියෙන්නේ. But interest we receive based on the face value 5 million, right? ඒක ඒ balance එක වෙනස් වුණාට අදාළ නැහැ. Investor issue කොට යා issue කරේ 5 million debenture. අපි 5 million debenture වල තමයි invest කරේ. එයා අපිට interest එක ගන්නේ 5 million වලට දෙනවා. So that's why every year interest received is 750. That won't change. So amortized cost equal fair value at recognition plus transaction cost. Transaction cost is equal to interest income added and interest received. Okay. Any question? Here stand so हमारा stand एक बड़ा था So we start with the financial instrument, right? The most complex topic standard. But if you properly follow these activities one by one, you can see it's not that difficult, right? මේකට ගොඩාක් දේවල් තියෙනවා. එක එක ක්‍රම තියෙනවා. right? ඒකයි මේ complicated වෙලා තියෙන්නේ නැතුව එකක් ගත්තොත් ඒක ලේසි තේරුම් ගන්න. Accounting for financial statement fair value through P&L. When you take separately, not that difficult. Accounting for financial statement fair value through P&L, OCI, right? You know. Now this is accounting for financial asset and amortized cost. Amortized cost එකකින් කරන්නේ මුලින්ම fair value එකකට measure කරනවා investment එක. Any transaction cost is there, we can add. Then increase by effective interest. Interest income at effective rate. Right? P&L එකට ගන්න එතකොට විශේෂයෙන් තමයි P&L එකට credit වෙන්නේ interest income at effective rate. Right? එතකොට ඇත්තටම මේ දෙක අතර වෙනස මොකද්ද මේ? 750ක් ලැබෙනවා මෙතන 1 million ගන්න. 850ක් ලැබෙනවා 1 million 50. 850ක් ලැබෙනවා 1 million 100. මේ ටික එකතු කරොත් එතකොට මේ 750 අඩු කරොත් වෙනස තමයි 900. අවුරුදු 3 අන්තිමේ එකවර ලැබෙන ප්‍රීමියම් එකත් මේ බෙදිලා ගිහිල්ලා තියෙනවා. අවුරුදු 3. right? ඔය ඇත්තට මේ වැඩිපුර ප්‍රීමියම් එක ගෙවන්නේ අවුරුදු 3ම වෙනුනේ. right? ඒ කියන්නේ ඉන්වෙස්ටර්ස්ලා අපිට මේ මාකට් එකේ සාමාන්‍ය ඩිවෙන්චර් වලට 120ක් ගෙවද්දී අපි 15ක් මේ කම්පැනි 15ක් ගෙවනවා. If the investors expectation also 15% කියලා දුන්නා නම් effective rate එක then no premium. right? So මෙතන 750 මෙතන 750 આવොත් ඉවර වෙන්නේ 5 million. දැන් වෙන්නත් පුළුවන්. right? Investors expecting 15% and the issuer also pay 15%. right? So එකතු වෙන්නේ 750 and getting 750. Then always balance becomes 5 million every year. And at the redemption also we are receiving 5 million. එතන වෙලා තියෙන්නේ investor as an investor we are expecting 20% interest. But this debenture issuer pay us only 15% to compensate it. At the redemption, company pay us 908,000 more. So effectively, we are receiving interest at 20%. So annual interest income recognized at 20%. That 20% is applied for the opening balance, right? පළවෙනි දවසේ අවුරුද්ද මුල balance එක. 5 million investment එක දෙන transaction cost එකක් තිබ්බනම් ඒකත් එදාමයි investment කරන්නේ. ඔන්න transaction cost එකක් තිබුණා කියලා 100,000 එහෙනම් 5.1 million වලට තමයි interest එක වදින්නේ. So then the second year opening balance into 20%. Third year opening balance into 20. Okay. Right. So we have some more activities from this. So right? So we can find out protection. And I will continue the topic next week. Usually the next week our time is 8 o'clock, right? right? ඉලක්කය තමයි make sure you will be there at 8 o'clock, right? මොකද ඊළඟ ප්‍රශ්නේ තමයි දේම තියෙනකොට තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නේ 8 ඉඳලා ඉතින් 8:00 වෙනකන් ඉඳ ගත්තොත් සමහර වෙලාවට අර මුල ටික මිස් වෙනවා. right? සමහර ටොපික් වල ඒක වැදගත්. right? මේ කොටස සෑහෙන වැදගත් ඒක මිස් වුණාම එදා දවස අමාරු වෙනවා තේරෙනවා. make sure you will be there at 8 o'clock. right? So we'll have 8 to 11. Like some of the time. Okay. Okay.